Hello human beings, Power Gamer here, and apparently monkeys are really in right now, so I'm gonna cash in on this craze by playing the most popular monkey-based game ever made. I already played that one. Did that one too. Now you're just messing with me. Alright, that'll work.
Super Monkey Ball, one of the best spherical primate games out there. While this isn't a huge franchise, it still has a pretty big following, especially in the speedrunning community. But what motivated people to create such a thing? Well, the game was originally an arcade game simply titled Monkey Ball, released in Japan in 2001. It was developed by Amusement Vision, a branch of Sega that was created in 2000 and consisted of about 50 people. The president of the company, Toshihiro Nagoshi, came up with the idea of rolling spheres through a series of mazes. His main goal was to create a game that anyone could understand, since most Japanese arcade games were pretty complicated at the time. Early prototypes consisted of just a plain ball, but they eventually added monkey characters inside of them that had been previously designed by Mika Kojima. By the time the game was going to be ported to consoles, Sega announced that they will be discontinuing their Dreamcast console and will be turned into a third-party company. Because of this, it ended up being the very first Sega-published game to be released on a Nintendo console, and the name was also changed to Super Monkey Ball to showcase that this was an enhancement over the original. The game was released as a launch title for the GameCube in late 2001, early 2002 for all countries. It got very positive reviews and was a commercial success, being one of Sega's best-selling titles in 2002. The game would spawn a franchise consisting of 16 different sequels and spin-offs, and would be remade under the Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania collection.
This is a series I know by name alone. I've seen a couple of gameplay clips, but other than that, I know next to nothing about it. So why am I playing it, you might ask? Because I've heard good things about it, and you know what? It just seems like fun. What more reason do you need than that?
The story of this game is non-existent. You're a monkey and a ball. It's 2/3 of the title, come on. Hopping right in, we have the options for main game, party game, or mini games. Let's start with the main game. We have 4 different monkeys to pick from and 3 different difficulty settings: beginner, advanced, and expert. The main game sees you move the monkey and a ball as you guide it through a series of obstacle courses to reach the goal, represented by this finish line. You have to make your way through a bunch of obstacles ranging from sharp turns, holes, moving platforms, slants, ramps, and spikes. Sounds pretty simple, but there is one catch. You aren't directly controlling the ball. You're actually tilting the stage to guide the ball to the goal. You ever played that labyrinth game where you have to tilt it to guide the marble in between the holes? This is pretty much that, only with a monkey. If you want to succeed in this game, you need to memorize the course layouts and master the physics. This game is all about momentum and tilting the stage at just the right angle to get you through the course. You have to beat the level under a time limit and without falling off. If you do fall off or run out of time, you lose one of your 3 lives, and if you lose them all, it's game over. You have 5 continues, but once you run out, it's back to the beginning. The number of stages you play is determined by your difficulty selection. Beginner has 10 stages, Advanced has 30, and Expert has 50. And since this game only requires you to move the joystick, you don't actually need the second half of the controller, which is good for me. You have 4 different monkeys you can play as: Ai, Mimi, Baby, and Gon. They all vary in terms of weight and how they handle, with the heavier characters being harder to steer, but they can gain speed and momentum much faster. Baby is the lightest, unsurprisingly. Mimi and Ai control roughly the same, and Gon is the heaviest. The game looks great for the GameCube and replicates the original arcade version really well. And the soundtrack is a lot of fun. The music just has so much energy to it. It's great. In order to beat the stage, you have to hit the goal. You need to break the tape, and depending on which way the goal is facing, it can lead to some annoying deaths. I've had to maneuver around the post and fell off or bounced off to my death.
Since this was originally an arcade game, it's mainly about replaying it over and over again to try and get a higher score.
Every time you get a game over, your score resets to 0, so if you want to score high, don't die. There's a bunch of bananas in the courses, and, say it with me now,
collecting 100 of them gives you an extra life!
Your score is mainly dependent on how many bananas you collect and how fast you beat the level. You can also find secret exits that help you skip levels, and depending on how you manipulate the physics, you can clear levels in all kinds of crazy ways. You want proof? Just look up some speedruns for this game. They are nuts. One small detail I really like about this game is that every time you beat a stage, you rise upwards and you can see the bottom of the next one. It's a nice touch that helps the levels feel more connected. Every once in a while, you'll also get these bonus floors which give you a bunch of bananas. After each bonus floor, the theme of the levels change. They can range from jungle, clear sky, casino, icy, desert, temple, and even space. The one thing I don't like about this game, though, is the camera. You can't freely control it. It automatically shifts to whichever way you're facing. This means the only way to move it is to turn yourself. If you do that, you can fall off because you accidentally moved off the platform, and if you don't do it, you'll fall off because you can't see properly. If you're having trouble in the main game, there's also a practice mode where you can play any stage you've reached as many times as you want. I absolutely love this feature. It's so nice to be able to actually practice on a stage stage you're having trouble with, instead of just replaying the whole thing over and over again. Some of these stages can be brutal. The beginner stages aren't that bad. I cleared this whole thing on my first try, but Advanced has some really nasty ones in there. Stage 15 is entirely slanted, so you have to be really careful with your movements. Stage 17 is insanely long and ends with this windy track. And stage 26, you only have one shot to hit the goal, or else you lose a life. Expert is crazy. I only made it to stage 7 before losing all my continues. You can also play this in multiplayer, where you and some friends take turns playing each stage, but that means you won't collect any play points. Play points can be earned by beating levels with only one player. I have no idea how it determines how many you get, but every time you collect 2,500 of them, you unlock one of the 3 mini-games. Once you get them all, you get an alternate menu theme, and you get an extra continue every time you get 2,500 after that. And after 5 times, you unlock unlimited continues. So I'm just gonna wait until I do that to try Expert.
And then my save data got corrupted, and I had to unlock the mini-games all over again. Let's check out the other modes, shall we?
The main game also has a competition mode where up to 4 people can compete in a race to see who can beat stages the fastest. You can pick any stage you played, and whoever clears the most wins. Now let's move on to the party game, where we have 3 different games: Monkey Race, Monkey Fight, and Monkey Targets. Monkey Race has you race around a track. Shocking, I know. You can use speed boosters, and you want to be careful around turns because it is very easy to fall off the track. You can just do one race, a Grand Prix through all 6 tracks, or a time trial. You can also grab items to slow the opponents down, and you use them with the A button. This might be a problem. There's a banana peel, which you drop behind you, a bomb, which you launch in front of you, a snowflake, which freezes the enemy in a block of ice, making them slower, a crystal, which traps them inside, making steering harder, and a star, which makes you move faster, but sadly doesn't make you invincible. The cool thing about the items is that you can carry as many as you want, and it can get pretty crazy when you just get pelted with items over and over and over and over again. Yeah, let's try a different mode. Monkey Fight is easily my favorite of the party games. You're placed on a small arena with a giant boxing glove on a spring. You have to punch your opponents, and you get points for knocking them off the stage. Occasionally boxes will drop down, and if you break them, you can unlock power-ups that make your spring longer or your glove bigger. This game is just pure chaos, and knocking everyone around is so much fun. This is easily the side mode I had the most fun with. Monkey Targets is easily the least competitive of the 3. You roll down this ramp and launch yourself into the sky. If you hit the A button, you can open the ball to glide, and you close it by hitting the button again. You want to aim for one of these targets, and the smaller the target, the more points you get. But before you go, you spin this wheel, and if you're not lucky, it'll add some kind of hazard. Clouds, which block your vision, spike balls, which can knock you down, or bombs, which send you off course. Monkey Targets isn't amazing, but there is some fun to be had here. I put this in the middle for my party games ranking.
But now it's time to check out those mini-games we had to unlock.
They're all real-life games that have you inside the ball. Monkey Billiards, Monkey Bowling, and Monkey Golf. Billiards is a classic game of 9-ball pool. You launch yourself into the balls and sink them into the holes. You can play with either 2 players or 4. I'm not the biggest fan of pool, but this is a pretty solid time, and I love the music that plays here. Monkey Bowling has you choose your position, line up your angle, and then launch. The timing on getting the right angle is really strict, but you can add a spin to realign yourself. Yeah, the spin is what really determines what direction you go in. You can play a classic game of bowling, or challenge where you have to knock down preset pins. And finally, Monkey Golf. It's just golf. You aim your shot, choose your power level, and aim for the hole. This game's alright, but some of the courses have really annoying designs, and it's insanely easy to go out of bounds. The minigames as a whole are nothing groundbreaking, but they're solid enough distraction. Alright, time to finally unlock those continues and move on to Expert. But one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that if you beat all the stages in a difficulty selection without dying, you can unlock the extra stages. The extra stages are just that, extras. They don't really add anything, but they are a decent reward for playing well. And they can be pretty difficult, like one where the goal is spinning around, or another where you can barely see the floor. For Expert, you can lose a life, but you can't lose any continues. And you can also unlock a hidden set of master floors by beating all of the Expert stages and extra Expert stages without using a single continue.
No thank you, I'm good.
That sounds miserable, because Expert mode is crazy hard. I had unlimited continues for this, and it still took me 2.5 hours to get through all these levels. I got a game over on almost every single stage. The best strategy for a lot of them is to just roll as fast as possible and hope you make it. Some levels require you to go fast, some require you to go slow, and sometimes the unconventional route is easier than the normal one. Here you have to shift back and forth on a narrow platform. This one, the path gets increasingly narrow as you go on. This one has a bunch of bumpers you bounce off of. And this one, I saved myself in the most epic way possible. There is no way I'm going for the extra our master stages. I am ready to be done with this. If I couldn't unlock infinite continues, I would probably just stop right here. This is exhausting. But the weirdest thing about it is that the hardest stages seem to be in the middle. I spent the most time on levels 19 through 25, and they really started to get easier after level 30. They're still hard, but not as hard as the ones before. But it all comes down to this. Floor 50. You have this fast-moving box that unfolds itself. You can't waste a fraction of a second. You have to do it perfectly. But once you do, man does it feel good. And then you do this mini-game where you have to collect bananas while avoiding the credits. And that is the end of Super Monkey Ball.
Monkeyball can be fun, but yikes, it can also be brutal. I think I can safely say that this is one of the hardest games I have ever played in my life. I had an easier time beating Cuphead than I did beating this.
So many of these stages will drive you crazy, but even with all of that challenge, I would say I enjoyed my time with this game overall. Give it a shot, but if you're not up for the challenge, stay away from Expert.
But hey, I finally got to cash in on the big monkey craze. Let's see what everyone else is saying about it. Dang it, they all moved on to kangaroos.